This presentation, I hope, will maybe help you think about Facebook in a different way. I love Facebook. I'm on it constantly. I am the Facebook demographic that they are focused on. But what we're hoping here is that we'll be talking about primarily Facebook, but I think what we're talking about could be applicable in other social media. And that is that we need to figure out how to use the energy that is in social media to achieve our political goals. And so the purpose of this is to help you make your use of social media, and we're focusing on Facebook, more intentional, adding some structure to you and a Facebook group that you're part of. And I think our experience is that adding that structure does not damage the spontaneity, the energy, but it does harness it in a way that can be very, very effective. I want to mention that this is what we consider part one of this Facebook to Change Makers presentation. There is a second workshop that gets into more of the technicalities of how does Facebook work to how do the algorithms in Facebook work. But those will be coming along later, and we will have them back again in 2022. This is, I think, a great message that we all need to remind ourselves of every day, and that is that when we are trying to do good, we should not set a standard that means we have to be perfect, because if we do that, we just won't do anything. But so what we're talking about is, let's use the tool that we have, Facebook, in a way that makes sense to us, and we will learn from our experiences, and we'll be able to do better.
It's always something to hold on to as a grassroots organizer too. We're never going to be an expert at it, but don't let it stop you from affecting change. Put your best foot forward, show up, and affect that change.
This slide is just, I think, just such a great slide, and Jenny put it together just to remind us about how these various organizations have gotten out on Facebook, have been using social media to create a revolution, to support a fair fight, to promote women, to support Joe Biden. There's energy here, and as individuals who are in smaller groups, we may or may not have organized something as big as Fair Fight, but we can, within our Facebook group, really have that become a grassroots organization and use some of the energy to move forward as an organization. So I'm hoping that that's what we can talk about during this presentation. So we're going to ask you to just take a moment, and maybe you're in several Facebook groups now, or you're thinking about starting one, and you want to make sure that you have Jenny referred to as like well, in an organization you would call it a steering committee. But what you want to find is who is going to be the core, who's going to comprise the core group in your Facebook organization that you're going to be working with, you're going to rely on to get started, but then also to grow the organization. And so you would just, just look at who's posting messages, who's posting things that are similar to what you are interested in, and look at other groups. And as you are looking at the individuals, as you're looking at the groups, we suggest that you look at those who are doing things positively, who are doing constructive posts, who are engaged in the process. I think all of our experiences is probably that there are lots of people out there who are spending a lot of time being negative, trying to be, in some my thought may perhaps be, be clever, be sarcastic. There's all kinds of evidence out there that that's not how we're going to move things forward, that negativity is really preserves the status quo or moves you backwards. We're looking for positive, constructive posts. And after you have thought about who you want to be involved with you, then we call it, then define your organization. And again, we are really thinking and really talking about your Facebook group becoming an organization, having some of those attributes of a grassroots organization. And so in your group, talk about what do we want to accomplish, what makes us unique, who is on our leadership team and what are their roles. This does not have to be like, the president, the vice president, but we want to know who's going to be, who are the administrators, who's going to be in charge of scheduling posts, who's going to be in charge of getting content, who's going to be reaching out to other organizations. And then as you're talking within your group, again, we keep asking you to think about your why, what is it you want to fix? Are you going to be focusing on a certain area? Even though I'm very fortunate to be in Key West right now, my focus is going to be in Indiana, which is my home base. And so I will be part of groups at the local level that are focused on Indiana or my home city of Indianapolis. But I also might be part of a coalition that is looking at some broader issues. And then what do I want to fix? And what does this little group, or maybe it's a big group, have to offer that is different? Do we have a different perspective? One of the groups that I belong to is Grandmas for Good, because I am a grandma. And that gives me, I think, a special perspective. And then the last point here is that even though we want our group to have a certain focus, we don't want that focus to be exclusionary. That's clearly one of Pete's rules. That's one of the lenses of Building Bridges for America. So we do want to think about how any issue we're involved in, how does it fit with other issues, and are we maintaining our awareness? And that we refer to that as intersectionality. Now we've talked, we've moved through the process. We've talked about who we are. We have assembled what they call, a kitchen cabinet, a group of people who are going to be planning our page, planning our message, planning our goals. Now we're going to actually look at our Facebook page. We're assuming you have now a Facebook page for your group, and you want to kind of, take that objective look at it. Does your page describe your purpose and focus? Does it have an identifiable and consistent look? When you attend, I hope, our subsequent part 2 on Facebook activism, we'll give you some more clues, tips on how to get that identifiable and consistent look. But this is an approach which is similar to how you would set up any grassroots organization. You want to have clear statements of your missions, clear statements of your target membership. You want people to know who's in charge, and then to have an identifiable look, logo, and have templates for your messaging. If you are a organization that is going to control the messages that are posted, then you need to have posting standards that are clear so that folks don't get, well, first of all, so you get the right messages posted. And then secondly, so that people will know why their message may not have been included. we love these standards. We think these should be everybody's standards. So if you're in a Facebook group and you're not quite sure what your standards should be, these are always good. Because we have Pete's standards and we have Joe's standards, and we've added the no malarkey, which is just a wonderful thing.
And if you're very clear and kind of upfront, so you use this kind of as a touchstone, right? So you've established these are kind of our rules of the road, or our, rules of our organization, those values that we're going to put forward. A lot of corporations do it now, and organizations. You can use this as a touchstone if things kind of might go off track with your group, or people are posting that kind of aren't. It's almost like we agree we're going to conduct ourselves on our Facebook group or our Facebook interactions as an organization this way. So it's really helpful to have these, because it's a tool for really gathering back and kind of redirecting any kind of negativity that might start floating up to the surface too.
Right. And I would say that that as I get, because I'm on Facebook all the time, and I get hints from Facebook that say you might be interested in this Facebook group, and so I figure I might be interested in that Facebook group, and then I go look at it, and it doesn't tell me anything. So if you have a Facebook group and you do want to attract members and you want to folks to understand what you're doing, it really is a good idea to go through these steps and put that structure on there, and particularly including, I think, these value statements. To me, they're just very, very important. Oh, and now this is, we were talking about, getting your look, which we call branding on this page. And the look is as we're looking at it here, it's a lot about color. And so, I have been told by people who know these things that it's really good idea to have no more than 3 colors be part of your brand. And red, white, and blues is a pretty good choice. And if you're from Indiana, you know that gold and blue is also, because those are our state colors. But it is this step here is one which, if you've heard Jenny's presentation on grassroots organizing, that the branding is so crucial, obviously over there. But I think also on the Facebook, this will it simplifies the look of your organization,
and people become familiar with it, and so they'll be like, we're looking here at at Indivisible, right? We see this, we've got this gorgeous logo here, and it's very identifiable, right? And so you want to become very familiar to people. So having a consistent brand. Canva we highlight here because you can use their program for free. You can step up and get access to more clip art and resources, but it's a great place for someone, you're creating a page, you want to create an organization that's got a platform on Facebook, you want to have like stuff to share. So people can post that information. So you can create a account on Canva, create these logos, create posts, do all kinds of these things. People can grab them and then reuse them and amplify it, or just even creating those gorgeous banners, that first look of your organization like Fair Fight had or Blue Revolution, a really good backdrop that really kind of tells your story in a way. So use these tools so you'll look more professional, more pulled together kind of thing.
And the other thing I'd say is, as someone like me who's on Facebook all the time, I'm scanning through, scrolling through all these, different posts, and I'm looking for those organizations that are my favorites and ones that I really want to pay attention to. And something like this, the color scheme, the branding will, say, okay, well, that's what I want to look at.
Yeah, it's attention grabbing for sure. Here's some other graphics that we pulled together using that same platform when we were organizing for Indiana for Joe. We used the same consistent. If we had an event, we would use the same image for the mobilize listing, social media posts, that kind of thing. So really recommend kind of using the same consistent kind of color scheme or logos. So people got to feel like this is all part of that one group, right? That feel there. And so it's actually, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Canva's super easy, so it's not that difficult. So this is where if you assign someone within your Facebook group that is creating graphics like this, that you can rely on, hey, Jenny, can you take care of making sure we got a graphic set up for that event? And that person can kind of become your expert on making sure that that's done. And then people can kind of access that and download that whenever they need it. So it really is a good tool. I can't stress enough, if you want to look professional and organized, having a consistent kind of brand going on.
And this next slide to me is pretty well, it's very important, and I think it's a step that we often overlook when we are you know, when our Facebook page is up and running. It's like, okay, well, now we'll post this and now we'll post that, and it'll just be, you know, it's kind of this you know, crazy conveyor belt that we're on of just adding stuff. And what this slide suggests that you do, again, it's your leadership group, is just a stop and say, are we being valuable to the members of this group who are, you know, checking us out and looking to us for information? Are we making sure that we have reliable information? Are we providing a safe place to express views? And this third one, which I think is really important, is our Facebook page providing our members with opportunities to take action? If someone is just like, I can't believe this is happening, you know, is there going to be a demonstration at the State House, or is there going to be a letter writing campaign, or are we going to there was a mention of postcarding. This is a way that your page can be really valuable, and I see that in some of the groups that I'm a member of. Is that someone will say, I'm concerned about this legislation that is going to do, and it's going to say that a business cannot impose a vaccine mandate. That's something that's happening in Indiana. But someone will write on the page, what, you know, is there something that we're going to do about? Are we going to take action on this? And so you would be really helping the people who are in your group if you did provide them with resources on messaging, meaning communications. What are some positive statements that can be said to promote a certain point of view? Are there volunteer opportunities? Will there be like a town hall? And then, as we're saying here, build your reputation for being the hub for engagement, and not only during an election. 2021 is almost over, but this was a good year and we've done some trainings on communicating with your school board members, communicating with your city and other local elected officials. So that's a real opportunity for your group to use your Facebook page to provide assistance to the folks who are part of the group.
Yeah, and if you're building that reputation there, when it comes to election cycle time, they're going to be there. They're going to be like, oh, I know, let's go check out Building Bridges site, because they're going to give me tangible things to do. Blue Revolution did a great job with this. All through the 2020, I knew to go there if I needed to find out the most recent postcarding campaigns that were going on. They just consistently were kind of known to always have that information on there. And it's just like with, you know, you want to become the expert. And so people are using you as that resource. So keep it going year round, all around Building Bridges. We do that. We train people. So we're going to advertise that. We're going to have events, not just during a current election cycle too.
This is, I think, just the next step that from what Jenny was saying, and that is that after you have engaged your members, you've been providing them with the resources on volunteering, or you've been providing them with good, reliable information about legislation. then you have brought them along with you, and you are now in a position where you can just what we call activate them. So in again in Indiana, one of our congressmen might say, you know, I really need support for this initiative that I am taking. And if we have brought our members along and they are confident in our advice to them, we can say, okay, Congressman Carson really needs our help in supporting this anti-hate crime legislation. And then we will hopefully that we will be able to turn out our members to attend an event or to volunteer or even donate. I think a lot of us, I'll just comment there, I think a lot of us are concerned about our pages turning into, you know, constant requests for donation. And I know some of the pages that I'm involved in have limits on that. But again, we want to have brought this group along so that at the right moment we can activate them so they will take action in support of a candidate or a cause or an issue. And this are some of our specific suggestions on how to activate your members. And the first one is to create an authentic voice, to stay focused on your primary issues. I personally believe that it's really difficult to be effective and be involved in every single issue. I think that it's more effective if you can, you know, narrow your focus and be that resource on some primary issues. We want to always keep our content positive and constructive. And as part of our leadership team, you know, it can be really helpful to have one or two people taking on the task of having weekly or daily posts for members to share outside the group to amplify your message. You of course want to be, not of course, but we encourage you to be aware of what other organizations are doing so that you can share events from them. And then a follow-up is really important. You know, encourage members who attend events or who are, you know, doing postcarding to post photos of their activities, and then get a report. You know, who went to the event, who registered voters this weekend, who wrote letters, who wrote postcards. That kind of follow-up is really important because it validates those who do take that extra effort. And then it also shows those who were not quite ready to make that effort that, oh yeah, that looks like real people who are doing that. It's a safe thing to do. And one of the things that I think we have found about a Facebook group is that it can be a very safe place for people to take their first level of activity. You know, because I think postcarding, at least for me, seems like a really good first step for people. It seems safe. But we are offering them a range of options, and then we are showing them what it looks like to have taken that action.
Yeah, and you're creating great content, right? Really good, active, relatable content. And that follow-up is really good because we're encouraging people to go to these events, but we want to show that it was a positive experience. Like, oh yeah, they went to the event, and so, you know, hopefully people will be like, yeah, I'll try that again next time.
And then this is if this we're trying to work this in both directions. One, we want to offer as the leaders of a Facebook group, we want to offer members the options. We want to offer them the information and the options so that they will take action. But also we want to find out from our members kind of like where they are. What is it that they are wanting to do now? And not everyone has to do the same thing. Everything about this is voter contact. And so we will ask our members, we will have Facebook has that polling feature. And you can ask them, are you willing to go knock on doors? Are you willing to canvass? Are you willing to do voter registration? My absolute favorite thing. That is the best thing ever. Do you want to write letters, write postcards? Do you want to be in a phone bank? Do you want to be in a text bank? What about what about a community project that is not just headed at a political goal, but a food drive, a cleanup area? Have those choices on the poll. And then when you get the polling results, then as a leadership group, match up some specific opportunities with what they've asked for. If you have 10 people who say, I'd like to do voter registration, then perhaps someone from your leadership team will say, well, I'll find a voter registration opportunity. And often that can be done through your county party, through your state party. But try to try to find those opportunities that match up with the polling results, and then post that all together. And so that will show that your leadership team is doing what people want, saying, 10 people said they wanted to do voter registration, and here's where you do it, and kind of go through that as well.
Yeah.
And then we just have some, here are some sample messaging, and that is that what as a leadership team, or maybe a few individuals, are just really good at communications that are positive. And you want to have these on your Facebook page as a way to help your members communicate outside the page. And we gave just some examples here of how do you make it personal? How do you explain what the infrastructure bill means to you? And the thing I like about it is that particularly the second one, well, the first one talks about job opportunities, which is absolutely true. The second one, I think also, I like it because, kids having clean water, that seems really crucial. And then someone who has job security, because passing the infrastructure bill is fine. But the reason that it is so important is because it changes our lives, but we need to say how it changes our lives. The last sample on this page is talking about a mask mandate or any kind of COVID safety protocol. And that is, why is it important to have COVID safety protocols? Well, it's because some people are really in danger if they get sick, and we need to be able to talk about that.
So we're able with these types of the structuring of what does the infrastructure plan mean to you? Tell us your story. You're creating that engagement that's really, really critical at this point. We need to be able to take these great things that are happening nationally or policy wise and translate them to people on the ground. So we need to put it in their homes, kind of thing. And our people who are on our Facebook groups, inviting them to share their stories, and then hopefully inviting them to then promote these stories and respond to other, posting on other groups and things like that with these stories is one of the best things we could be doing to lift up the administration and make sure that 2022 is going to have the results that we need. Because messaging is really not so great. We're not getting that reach out about what we've accomplished. And that's going to be really imperative, especially on Facebook, is making sure that these stories, when we talk about why COVID mask mandates affect my family and why the infrastructure bill is so good and going to result in, or even sharing, oh my gosh, I just noticed that they just fixed this road. They used the money from the infrastructure bill to do that. Relating it back to those things, to everyday things, is critical to the work as like a Facebook activist that you can do. This is the best. If you do nothing else but this, That is a huge, that's so important to supporting progressive candidates and issues and things like that, is amplifying these messages.
And then we're continuing to focus on the message, on the communication. And one of the things that I think you can run into, I know a number of us have run into it with groups we're part of, and that is you start off with this, with the rules of the road. You start off with the absolute commitment to positivity, and then things start drifting, or someone of your face starts saying, okay, I just can't take it anymore, I need to say this. And it's something off message or negative. And there is no absolute cure for that, obviously. But what our suggestions are here is that just every so often, and that it needs to be on a routine basis. It doesn't have to be all the time, but maybe it's once a month, or is to just have a message from the leadership, and it may be not called that, but a message from the group saying, here's the purpose of our group. We are focused on the health and safety of our children, and just remember, we are our rules of the road, and we really have to stay positive, because that's the way to be effective. I mean, we aren't being goody two shoes about this. Being positive is the way to be effective. That's the way you move things forward. And so that it is so helpful for the leadership to just kind of to stay on top of this, and to just also have that firm belief that positivity and personal stories are what make the difference. And then this final point, and this takes a lot of work and discipline, is do not amplify disinformation. I am old enough to remember, and maybe no one else on the call is, but that Richard Nixon said, "I am not a crook." That was the worst thing he could say ever, because they're saying, "I am not a crook." All people hear is, "You're a crook, you're a crook, you're a crook." And as in the groups that I'm part of, the hardest thing I see is for a Facebook group to avoid amplifying disinformation or lies. Is that so? That is one of the things that is so important from the leadership standpoint, is to say, no, we are not going to spend our time saying we are not socialist, we are not communist, we are not these things. We're always going to be talking positively.
Because inevitably we're dealing with an algorithm. So even negative interaction, saying that that's a bad thing, is interaction. So to the algorithm, they're like, somebody's engaging with this. So you're actually boosting the views, boosting the exposure of like, that's a crazy thing that Lauren Boebert said. I'm going to tell everybody how berserk that is. And you're sharing it and reposting about how terrible she is, right? But you are lifting that up to more viewers to see, and that is not what we want to be doing. So we have a session in Building Bridges on, popping the disinformation bubble. It goes a little more detail to that, but really kind of as a leader setting the example of like, we're here for this. Let's focus on this, not what we're against. We talk a lot about that. So, and the rules are really great because it does help you go, remember folks, we follow these rules, you're part of this group. That's why, people have their community guidelines that people accept. So that way they can say later, but what's helpful too is not just specifically calling out people, is keeping it general also. So you can have a message from leadership that's not like saying, Jenny posted this week and it was awful. It could be, let's remember collectively what we're here for and what our goals are. And this is how we can achieve those goals, kinds of things. So setting that example. But yeah, please don't repost, just automatically sharing. That is kind of the worst thing we can do to amplify that negative disinformation we see out there.
And this, we're just going right into this as just excellent. Following up on what Jenny said, is how, be prepared with positive messages. I mean, I think, because I also think that that we can kind of predict, not always, but sometimes we can predict what those, what those lies are going to be. What is that false information going to be? And so if we are ready, if we, again, as the group, if we have already thought about, well, here's going to be our message about the infrastructure bill. This is going to be our message about COVID safety precautions. Then it's there and it's ready. I have been thinking recently about an interview I heard with Dan Pfeiffer, who was one of President Obama's communication people. And he had just a good tip. He says, don't repost something unless you would be willing to give that person money. So in Ginny's example, don't repost anything about Boebert unless you support her and you'd like to send her some money, because by reposting her, you are sending her money. So yeah, that's just in my mind all the time.
And it's true. You're basically putting like a $1 bill in her pocket every time you repost it. I like that analogy. That's like really, really good.
So,
so really redirecting to say, this is what we're for, not what we're against, not reposting all that negativity and saying, no, don't do this, but let's pay attention to it. We want to really be saying, this is what Democrats and progressives are winning at. This is how you take action. So always have that counter messaging available.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we love that. So what's next?
Oh yeah, what's next? This is what's, I mean, yeah. So what's next is we're hoping that you will, our suggestion is schedule your posts, make a plan. This seems so different from Facebook, because Facebook, you're supposed to be there like, pounding away and sending your stuff. No, plan, pick a day, make a plan. And then as we've mentioned, we have another workshop, and we've had it, but it's actually, we have another workshop that talks more of the technical side and goes into setting up your page. How do you set up your page? How do you use analytics? That next workshop will not occur live until 2022, but on the website there we have the PowerPoint from that for you to look at. And then as Ginny has mentioned, we do have sessions on disinformation and progressive messaging that are that will be coming up in the new year. Also on the website, we have workbooks
already scheduled for 2022. So
exactly,
you can go register now for those events.
And then, this is where we're headed here, is take it to the next level. Let's learn how to start your own grassroots organization. And there's so much, again, material that's out there on just getting started, hosting events, because we will be hosting events. We will be outside. Those of us who are, who like doing this, which I love doing this, is like there will be tables at county fairs, there will be tables at state fairs, there'll be tables at art fairs where we can go and pass out material or register voters and talk to people about how amazing Joe Biden is, how amazing the sainted Nancy Pelosi is. I mean, don't get me started. But
and it's very exciting, because what we're hoping, oh, sorry about that, I don't know what happened there. What we're hoping is that you're going to treat your Facebook organization like a grassroots organization. So we actually have a session that teaches how to build a grassroots organization, and all of those tools are applicable to creating a Facebook organization, grassroots organization. So really, if anything, is treat your Facebook group like a real true organization. Have people that help you, have a schedule, have people divide responsibilities, and have standards of what's acceptable, and stay focused on tasks. These are all the ways that we would manage a business or if we were employed by someone, they would have expectations of us. And that really is what we need to do to organize solidly and make sure we're really, really effective. Moving from just being an activist, posting and reading and reacting to actually being a change maker, affecting change.